Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. This is Mr. Kim here. I just wanted to record this video to help you guys with your art project using Desmos. And I am going to go over some of the inequalities and equations, linear equations, so that you guys can get a better understanding. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with this first line right here. So originally what this can look like is it can look like that, right? So y equals -3, if you look, is you go -1, -2, and -3, right? No matter what the x values are, the y value is always going to be -3 because y is equal to -3 here. So 5, -3, 6, -3, so on and so forth. But for your drawing, you don't necessarily need a line that's infinitely long, like here it keeps going forever. Maybe you don't need a line that long. You just want a line from, let's just say, to a certain extent. Okay, so if I go back, let's just say I want a line from -4 to +2. So if you look over here, it goes from -4, this is -4 to 2, right? So if I want to make it longer to -5, I just have to change this part here to -5. See, it got longer. If I want to make it to -6, just go like that and made it longer to -6. So that's how you change the horizontal line. If you want to move it up or down, right? So you just change this here. So currently it's at -3 right here, right? So we make it -2. Boom. Or if you want to move it to +2, we go up here and move it to +2, like that. If you want to increase the length of the right to, I don't know, 4, then you just change that to 4, and voila. So that is how you work with this horizontal line. So if you want to draw horizontal lines on your artwork, that's how you do it. That's how you move it up and down and make it longer or shorter. So that's the first one. The second one is this vertical line right here. So as you guys can see here is x equals 7. So if you guys look, 5, 6, 7. So x value, regardless of what the y values are, the y values can increase or decrease, it doesn't matter. The x value is always going to stay 7. So 0, 7. -1, 7. -2, 7, right? If I erase this here, it will be an infinitely long line like this. Keeps going forever and ever. So in your drawing, let's just say you don't want an infinite long line, which you can if you want to. You're going to set some constraints. So you're going to say, okay, I want a line that goes from -1 here to +5, right there. Let's just say you want to move it closer to the left. You're like, oh, I just need this line to be a little bit closer to the left. Then instead of 7 here, you're going to move it to 4. So you go 4 here, and voila. Let's just say I want to move it to a negative side. So then I go to -3. Right? Let's just say I want it longer from -2 to 6. So I go here, -2, and then 6. So if you guys can see, it goes from -2 now to 6. So this right here controls the height of the vertical line, and this x is equal to -3 gives you a vertical line, and this controls the height of it. So this x -3 places the line on the x-axis, and this right here gives the constraints. So how long and how long and which placement you want the line to be, the vertical line. So we know how to draw horizontal lines, and we know how to draw vertical lines. Now let's try like boxes here. So if you guys can take a look, this right here controls the width of the box, and this controls, which makes sense because x is the horizontal value, and this right here controls the height of the box. So this box goes from -6 to -2. So if you look, -6 to -2, right? And -1 to +1. So it goes from -1, as you can see, -1 to +1. So that would represent the height of the box. Yeah, so let's just say you want to make the box wider, right? So it's instead of from -6, you go to -7. So then you go here and put -7, and it got longer. One thing that you want to watch out for, one thing that I should mention, is that you need the curly brackets. So you need the curly brackets. It can't be a bracket. It can't be a bracket. It won't work. It can't be a parentheses. It can't be a parentheses. That won't work. It has to be a curly braces, and that will really set the constraint for that. I believe you can change it. Well, let me talk about that in a second. But yeah, so this goes from -7 to -2. So -7 to -2. And this one goes from the height, which y controls the height, is from -1, bottom here, to +1. So let's just say I want to make it higher. Instead of going from -1 to 1, I want to make it -1 to 4. So I go here, -1 to 4. Voila. Let's just say I want to make it like even shorter. So I want from -1 to 0. Then I go here, -1 to 0. So this controls it. I believe you can change this to y, and then you could change it to x, and it still work. Yeah, see, it still works. So the y now goes from -7 to 2, and the x goes from -1 to 0. So it goes from -1 to 0. So that is how you create boxes. All right, let's keep going, and let's talk about lines now. So I'm gonna turn on this line. So in your equation, or in your art, you probably want to have some diagonal lines. You're probably not going to be all just vertical and horizontal lines. And so let's just talk about this. So this line obviously is super long and it's infinitely long, but you don't want a line like that, right? And so you just want to set some constraints. So you go here. If you guys can take a look, this is set by 2, right? So it only goes from the x value from 2 to 5. So if you look, that's 5 right here. And then it goes all the way, here, let me make it go like this. 5 right here. And then as you can see, it goes only up to 5. Let's just say I want the line to be a little bit longer, then you could go up to 6, 7, so on and so forth. And this will control the length of your line. But let's just say I want to go 4.5. You can go 4.5, you can go 4.3, 4.2, 4.1, right? However measure you want to use. One thing that I do want to talk about really quickly is if you want the line to move up, then you just change the y-intercept like that, right? If you want the line to be less steep, then you change the slope like that. You could even go fractions, right? You want even a steeper or less steep slope, even less steep, you see? So this, the smaller this slope is, the less steep the slope gets. So this is how you draw diagonal lines and control the length for them, okay? So now let's go to like coloring and shading and so on and so forth. So if you guys can take a look, yeah, you see the shading. Let's just say I don't want the whole thing to be shaded. I just want a part of it. So then what I can go here is, as you guys can see, this equation and this equation is the same thing. It's just that this equation sets some constraints of this linear inequality. So if I set this, boom, it's super large. I don't want a whole thing infinitely shaded graph. I just want parts of it like that. So you see that? This orange is a small part of this huge black inequality right here. And so let's take a look. So you got this y. I'm going to set the constraint for the y value first. So what I want is, I just want the y value to be greater than 0. So if you guys can take a look, it's currently greater than 0, right? So it goes above 0. Let's just say I want to make it longer, then I just go here, go -1. So the y value goes from -1 and plus, -1 and above. That's what you're saying. Y is greater than -1. If I go -4, right, it says from -4 to 1. So that's how you shade it like that. Let's just say I want to control the y or the x value. So currently x value is saying that I want it to be less than 4. I want it to be less than 4. But let's just say I just want a bigger triangle and I want to be less than 6. So I go here, less than 6. Voila. If I want it even bigger, less than 10. So I just go here and I change that. Okay. So instead of trying to create your own like triangles and things like that, I encourage you guys to just copy and paste this and play around with it. And I think it will definitely help you guys a lot more. Let's see if I can change, like, yeah. So if you just change this -2, it flipped the graph, right? It flipped the triangle, but you are going to have to change the constraint a little bit to make sure that it works the way that you want to. So let's just say I just want to create a similar triangle like this, from a positive 2x slope to a negative 2x, like this. So what I want to do then is something like this. So let's just say I want the x value to be less than -10, right? Because I want this triangle to be like that and less than -10. So this x value here. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go negative, x is negative less than 10. Okay. I don't know why this is not working here. I think maybe it's gonna be like that. Yeah, like that. Okay. So x is, it's gotta be x is greater than -10. Yeah. So because -9 is greater than -10, -8 is greater than -10, so I had to put x is greater than -10 right here. Okay. So this right here basically represents a flip of what we had before. If I want to change the height of it, so I can go here again and make it, shorter if I wanted to. And so this is how you draw triangles that are shaded in. One of the other things that you have to do in your artwork is also use standard form. The way that you control standard form is like this. So currently this is the standard form with the inequalities. And this is all shaded in. It's a pretty large, shading. So let's just say I don't want this entire shade. It's too big. What you want to do then is go like that. And that's a little bit really, really small, but boom, right? Just I can make it a little bigger. Okay. So if you guys look at this one, this controls the X constraint, right? This controls the Y constraint right here. And this has to be all less than or equal to 3. So let's get started. So this controls the -8, the constraint, the horizontal value. So it's a -8 right now. So you see this -8, -8 to -3. So -8 to -3. So -8 to -3 is my horizontal value. And I want the y value, 3 to 4. So I go 3 to 4, right? And so that controls the height of the height of this figure right here. If I wanted to move, if I want to move it to the right, I can change this to 4, right? Yeah, if you're gonna have to move it to the right, you're gonna have to adjust all of this stuff right here to probably like this has to be -1. You see, it's moved to the right a little bit more, but then you would also have to change this one too, like 6. So it moved to the right a little bit more. But it did change this this line right here a little bit. So you're just gonna have to play around with this inequality to make sure you get the nice shape that you want and the shading as well. So that's another one. The last one is this one right here. This one is, I think, the most complicated out of all of them, but it's pretty simple. If you take a look, this -x plus 4 is this line right here. You see? Watch. If I change it to 3, it'll move down. You see? So this one controls the bottom diagonal line. right? So this changes the bottom line, and this negative x plus 8 controls the top line here. So I go like 9, 10, 11, right? Right, and 6. So 6 right here. So this changes the top line right here. And this right here controls the length, or the width of this line. So this currently goes from -4 to 2. So it goes from -4 to 2. But if I want to make it longer, go negative, I don't know, 7, right? So it goes from -7, that's -7 here, to +2. If I want to even make it longer, I go 1. Or if I want to make it longer, go 3, right? And so you have this line right here. So that's a lot of different manipulations that you need to use. I do encourage you guys to play around with these different numbers. The most important thing is don't change the curly brackets anywhere. Just change the numbers. I think changing the numbers and changing the inequalities will definitely help you guys see how these functions work. And once you understand how these functions work, that's how you can draw the art. So hope that helped. And